The desperate signal. The healing light drifted through the cosmic void like a wounded bird, her pristine white hull scarred by plasma burns, and her healing gardens wilting behind cracked transparent steel viewports. Captain Lyra Moonwhisper pressed her delicate blue hands against the command console, her large silver eyes reflecting the chaos erupting across her bridge displays. The Zephyrian medical vessel shuddered under another barrage from the sleek predator ships that circled her like hungry sharks. "Captain, forward shields down to 12%, announced Dr. Kido's Brightscale, his normally calm voice strained with worry. The chief medical officer's scaled features, evolved from an aquatic ancestry, showed the stress lines that only appeared when a Zephyrian faced true despair. "We cannot withstand much more of this assault." The attacking vessels were unlike anything in the galactic databases. The Void Ravagers, as they had come to be known, appeared from the dark spaces between stars with no warning, no demands, no mercy. Their ships were angular nightmares of black metal and pulsing red energy, designed not just to kill but to terrorize. They had been systematically hunting medical and supply vessels across the outer rim for months, leaving only debris and silence in their wake. Lyra's crew of 47 healers and support staff worked frantically at their stations, their luminescent skin patterns flickering with stress colors. The Zephyrians were a peaceful species, evolved from creatures that had never known predation on their oceanic homeworld. Their entire culture revolved around healing, growing, and nurturing life. They had no weapons aboard their ships, no military training, no concept of violence as a solution. In their holds lay medical supplies desperately needed by 6 different colonies, suffering from the Crimson Plague, a devastating disease that had already claimed millions of lives. "Why are they doing this?" whispered Nurse Finn Deepcurrent, her young voice trembling as she monitored the life support systems. "We are healers. We carry only medicine and hope. Evil needs no reason." Kidos replied softly, his ancient wisdom carrying the weight of centuries. "Sometimes darkness attacks light simply because it exists." Another impact sent shockwaves through the ship's frame. Emergency lights bathed everything in an eerie red glow as primary systems began failing one by one. The beautiful bioluminescent plants that lined the corridors, normally glowing with soft blues and greens, flickered and dimmed as the ship's life support struggled to maintain power. Lyra made a decision that went against every instinct her peaceful species possessed. She activated the emergency beacon, broadcasting their location and desperate situation across all known frequencies. It was dangerous, potentially drawing more predators, but they had no choice. "This is Captain Lyra Moonwhisper of the Zephyrian Medical Corps vessel Healing Light." She spoke into the transmitter, her melodic voice carrying across the void. "We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Our shields are failing, and we carry critical medical supplies for plague victims. We have no weapons, no defenses. Please, if anyone receives this message, we need immediate assistance. We have healers aboard, families, children in our care. Please help us." The transmission cut off as another blast overloaded their communications array. Sparks cascaded from overhead conduits while the ship's organic systems, bred specifically for medical vessels, began shutting down to preserve core functions. The healing light was dying, and with her would die not just her crew, but the hope of 6 worlds waiting for the medicine in her cargo holds. Minutes stretched like hours as the Void Ravagers pressed their attack with methodical precision. Their weapons seemed designed to cause maximum suffering, targeting life support systems and medical bays specifically. It was as if they understood exactly what would cause the most pain to a species devoted to preserving life. "Captain," Dr. Brightscale called out, his scanner readings showing something impossible. "I'm detecting a massive energy signature approaching. Something big." On the main display, space itself seemed to tear open as a vessel emerged from faster-than-light travel. The newcomer was unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. Where their ships were curved and organic, this one was angular and aggressive. Where theirs glowed with soft bioluminescence, this one was matte black with predatory lines. It was clearly built for war, bristling with weapon systems and armor plating that spoke of a species that had learned to survive in a hostile universe. By the depths, Kitos breathed. "What is that thing?" The answer came through their damaged communication system in a voice that was rough, direct, and utterly alien to their peaceful sensibilities. "Medical Vessel Healing Light. This is Commander Jake Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force ship Retribution's Edge. We received your distress call. Prepare for immediate combat support." Lyra felt her dual hearts skip a beat. Terrans, humans, the species that had emerged from the death world called Earth, a planet so hostile that simply surviving there was considered impossible by most galactic civilizations. They were the subject of whispered legends and horrified fascination throughout the peaceful sectors. Stories spoke of beings who had evolved under constant threat, who had learned to be both predator and prey, who had developed technology not for healing or growing, but for fighting and surviving. "Unknown vessel," Lyra transmitted back, her voice uncertain. "We are grateful for your response, but we must warn you. We do not know what these attackers are capable of. They have been destroying medical ships across the sector." Commander Rodriguez's reply was calm and confident in a way that both reassured and terrified her. "Ma'am, with respect, you called for help. We're here to provide it. Recommend you take evasive action and protect your cargo. We'll handle the rest." What happened next would be burned into the memory of every Zephyrian aboard the Healing Light for the rest of their lives. The human vessel, sleek and deadly as a hunting knife, moved with a precision that spoke of countless battles fought and won. Its weapon systems came online with an efficiency that was both beautiful and terrifying to witness. The Void Ravagers, who had spent the last hours systematically destroying the helpless medical ship, suddenly found themselves facing something they had never encountered before. The humans didn't hesitate, didn't negotiate, didn't show mercy to those who had shown none. Their response was swift, brutal, and absolutely decisive. Plasma cannons and kinetic railguns opened fire with a symphony of destruction that lit up the void like a deadly aurora. The human ship moved like a living thing, rolling and diving through space with maneuvers that should have been impossible for something so large. Its shields absorbed the Ravagers' return fire, while its own weapons systematically dismantled the attacking fleet with surgical precision. "Incredible," Dr. Brightscale whispered, watching the tactical display. "They're not just fighting, they're dancing." Within minutes, what had been a desperate life-or-death struggle became a one-sided demonstration of military supremacy. The Void Ravagers, who had terrorized the peaceful sectors for months, found themselves outclassed by beings who had evolved in conflict. One by one, their ships were reduced to expanding clouds of debris, until only the human vessel and the damaged Healing Light remained in the void. Commander Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm system again, but this time there was something different in his tone. The hard edge of combat had softened, replaced by something that surprised the Zephyrians with its gentleness. "Healing Light, this is Retribution's Edge. Hostile vessels have been neutralized. We're reading significant damage to your ship and casualties among your crew. Request permission to come aboard and provide assistance." Lyra hesitated. The stories about humans were filled with warnings about their violent nature, their inability to understand peaceful intentions. But her ship was dying, her crew was injured, and she had medical supplies that needed to reach plague victims. She had no choice but to trust. "Permission granted, Commander Rodriguez. But please understand, we are a medical vessel. We have no weapons, no defenses. We ask that you respect our peaceful nature." There was a pause before the human responded, and when he did, his voice carried a warmth that completely contradicted everything the galaxy believed about his species. "Ma'am, we didn't come here to threaten you. We came here to help. My chief medical officer is preparing emergency medical supplies right now, and our engineering team is standing by to assist with your ship repairs. We're the good guys." As docking tubes extended between the two vessels and the human boarding party prepared to cross over, Lyra found herself wondering if everything the galaxy believed about humans might be wrong. The ship that had just saved them was clearly designed for war, but the voices coming through the comm system spoke of healing and assistance. Dr. Brightscale approached her command station, his ancient eyes thoughtful. "Captain, perhaps we are about to discover that the most dangerous species in the galaxy might also be the most compassionate." The airlock cycled, and Captain Lyra Moonwhisper prepared to meet the beings who had just saved her ship and crew. She had sent out a call for help, expecting perhaps another medical vessel or a patrol ship. Instead, the universe had sent her something far more complex and fascinating than she could have imagined. The humans were coming aboard, and everything the galaxy thought it knew about the species from the Deathworld was about to change forever. The weapon they never expected. The airlock hissed open with a soft mechanical whisper, and Captain Lyra Moonwhisper found herself face to face with the most notorious species in the galaxy. Commander Jake Rodriguez stepped through the threshold, and immediately every preconception she had about humans crumbled like ancient coral. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair streaked with premature gray and eyes the color of Earth's ancient oceans. But what struck Lyra most was not his imposing physical presence, but the careful way he moved, the conscious effort he made to appear non-threatening. His hands were raised in a peaceful gesture, and his expression was one of genuine concern. "Captain Moonwhisper," he said, his voice gentler than it had sounded over the comm system. "I'm Commander Rodriguez. This is my Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sarah Chen, and our Chief Engineer, Maya Nakamura. We're here to help." The two women flanked him, and Lyra was surprised to see that they carried not weapons, but medical supplies and diagnostic equipment. Dr. Chen was a small, precise woman with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, while Maya was a sturdy-looking engineer whose calloused hands spoke of someone who fixed things rather than broke them. "Commander," Lyra replied, her melodic voice still carrying notes of uncertainty. "We are grateful for your assistance, but I must ask, your ship, your weapons, are all humans so prepared for violence?" Rodriguez's expression grew serious, and he gestured toward the viewport where the debris of the Void Ravager ships still drifted in space. "Captain, we've learned that the universe can be a dangerous place. We prepare for violence so that peaceful beings like yourselves don't have to." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her scanner already active and reading the life signs of the injured Zephyrians. "Captain Moonwhisper, we're detecting several crew members with severe injuries. May we begin treatment immediately?" "You would heal us?" Dr. Brightscale asked, his scaled features showing amazement. "But your species is known for warfare, not medicine." Maya Nakamura smiled, and the expression transformed her gruff features into something warm and welcoming. "Doc, just because we're good at fighting doesn't mean that's all we do. We fight so we can protect the things worth protecting. And right now, that's you and your medical supplies." Over the next several hours, Lyra watched in amazement as the humans worked alongside her crew with efficiency that spoke of extensive medical training. Dr. Chen moved through the injured with gentle hands and precise instruments, treating burns and trauma with techniques that were both advanced and compassionate. Her bedside manner was exceptional, speaking to each patient in their own language through a universal translator, offering comfort as well as healing. Commander Rodriguez coordinated the repair efforts with Maya, who had immediately diagnosed the ship's problems and begun working to restore critical systems. The engineer worked with a passion that reminded Lyra of her own healers, someone who found joy in fixing what was broken and restoring function where there had been failure. "Your people," Lyra said to Rodriguez as they watched the repair work progress. "They are not what we expected." "What did you expect?" he asked, genuinely curious. "Warriors, destroyers. The stories we hear about humans paint you as violent, aggressive, unable to coexist peacefully with other species." Rodriguez was quiet for a moment, watching Dr. Chen carefully bandage a young Zephyrian's arm while singing a soft lullaby to keep the child calm. "We can be violent when we need to be," he said finally. "We've had to be, to survive on our world and in this galaxy. But violence is a tool, not our nature. Our nature is to protect, to heal, to build something better. As if to prove his point, Maya called out from the engine room, where she had been working with the ship's biomechanical systems. "Captain Rodriguez, I think I can do more than just fix their engines. These organic systems are fascinating. With some modifications, I could increase their efficiency by 30% and add some defensive capabilities that won't compromise their medical mission." Dr. Brightscale floated over to examine Maya's work, his ancient eyes wide with interest. "Remarkable. You're not just repairing, you're improving, making us stronger while maintaining our peaceful nature." "It's what we do," Maya replied with a grin. "We take things that are broken and make them better than they were before." The real test of the human's intentions came when the Healing Light's long-range sensors detected another crisis. A convoy of refugee ships was under attack 3 systems away, and their desperate calls for help were being broadcast across all frequencies. "Captain," Dr. Chen approached Lyra with a concerned expression. "We're picking up distress signals from civilian vessels. Families, children. They're being hunted by more void ravagers." Lyra felt her dual hearts sink. The Healing Light was barely functional. Her crew was still recovering from injuries, and they still had medical supplies to deliver to the plague-stricken worlds. But those refugees needed help, and there was no one else to provide it. Commander Rodriguez seemed to read her thoughts. "Captain, we can handle this. The Retribution's Edge can respond to the convoy while you continue your medical mission." "No." The word came out more forcefully than Lyra had intended, surprising even herself. "Commander, those refugees will need medical attention. The Void Ravagers don't just kill, they traumatize. There will be injured, terrified beings who need the kind of care only a medical ship can provide." Rodriguez studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. "You're suggesting a joint operation. Your medical expertise, our defensive capabilities." "I am suggesting," Lyra said, her voice growing stronger with conviction, "that perhaps the galaxy's greatest healers and its most formidable warriors might accomplish more together than either could alone." Maya looked up from her repair work, her face bright with excitement. "I can have your engines running at full capacity within the hour. And those defensive modifications I mentioned, they'll be online too." Dr. Chen was already preparing additional medical supplies from the human ship's stores. "We have combat medics trained for trauma response. They can work alongside your healers to provide care in dangerous situations." The joint operation that followed would become legend in the peaceful sectors of the galaxy. The Healing Light, now escorted by the Retribution's Edge, arrived at the refugee convoy just as the Void Ravagers were beginning their systematic destruction. But this time, the predators found themselves facing not helpless prey, but a coordinated response that combined human military precision with Zephyrian medical expertise. The humans fought with their characteristic efficiency, their weapon systems eliminating the Ravager ships with surgical precision, while their tactical coordination ensured minimal collateral damage. But more importantly, the moment the battle was won, they immediately switched roles from warriors to protectors, helping to evacuate the wounded and provide security while the Zephyrians worked their healing magic. Lyra watched Commander Rodriguez carry an injured refugee child to Dr. Brightscale, his movements careful and gentle despite the child's alien physiology. She saw Dr. Chen working alongside Zephyrian healers, sharing techniques and learning from each other's expertise. She witnessed Maya teaching refugee engineers how to repair their damaged ships while simultaneously upgrading their defensive systems. "This is what you meant," she said to Rodriguez as they watched the combined human Zephyrian rescue teams work together. "When you said you were the good guys." "It's what we've always been," he replied quietly. "We just had to learn how to survive long enough to prove it." The refugee convoy was saved. The Healing Light delivered her medical supplies to the plague victims, and a new alliance was born between species that on the surface couldn't have been more different. The humans, with their weapons and warrior traditions, became the protectors of the galaxy's healers. The Zephyrians, with their medical expertise and philosophical wisdom, became the moral compass that guided human military intervention. As the two ships prepared to part ways, having escorted the refugees to safety and completed their medical mission, Lyra found herself changed by the experience. The galaxy had taught her to fear humans, to see them as dangerous predators who solved problems with violence. Instead, she had discovered a species that used their strength to protect the weak, their advanced technology to heal rather than harm, and their warrior skills to ensure that beings like herself could continue their peaceful missions without fear. "Commander Rodriguez," she said as they stood in the Healing Light's observation deck, watching the stars through the repaired transparent steel. "When we sent out that distress call, we expected help. We never expected to find partners." Rodriguez smiled, and the expression was warm and genuine. "Captain, when humans hear someone calling for help, we don't just send assistance. We show up ready to become whatever that person needs us to be. Healers, warriors, engineers, friends. We adapt." Dr. Chen joined them, carrying a data pad with communication frequencies and medical protocols. "Captain Moonwhisper, we've established a joint communication network with Zephyrian Medical Command. Anytime you need assistance, anytime any medical vessel needs protection, just call. We'll be there." Maya appeared with a technical manual she had compiled during the journey. "And this contains all the defensive modifications we've developed for medical ships. Non-lethal, designed to protect rather than attack, but effective against raiders and pirates. Your engineers can implement them fleet-wide." As the human ship prepared to depart, Lyra realized that the weapon the universe had sent in response to her distress call wasn't the plasma cannons or kinetic railguns. It wasn't the advanced shields or the tactical systems. The weapon was something far more dangerous to those who would prey on the innocent. The weapon was humanity's compassion, backed by the strength to make that compassion meaningful in a dangerous universe. It was their willingness to risk their lives for strangers, to fight not for conquest, but for protection, to use their formidable abilities in service of those who needed help. The Void Ravagers had attacked the Healing Light expecting to find easy prey. Instead, they had encountered something they couldn't understand or defeat. Beings who would travel across the galaxy to help strangers, who would risk everything to protect those who couldn't protect themselves, who would turn their deadliest capabilities toward the preservation of life, rather than its destruction. As the Retribution's edge disappeared into faster-than-light travel, carrying with it new alliances and shared purpose, Captain Lyra Moonwhisper made a note in her ship's log that would be studied by xenosociologists for generations to come. "Today we learned that the most dangerous weapon in the universe isn't a gun or a bomb or a warship. It's the willingness to help a stranger, backed by the power to make that help meaningful. When mercy calls, humanity doesn't just answer. They become the answer. The galaxy would never be the same."